Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship here with another Velocity Banking video. So the title of this video is I'm a Rich Doctor, Pay Off Debt with Me, but I'm not a medical doctor, so it's a confession. I'm not a medical doctor, I don't give medical advice. I'm a cash flow doctor. That's what they call me. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with paying off debt with Velocity Banking. And I asked ChatGPT to come up with some assumptions for being a doctor and coming up with some debts. So this one is a U.S. anesthesiologist, young specialist, just finishing residency. $400,000 a year gross income, so after taxes, it would be about 280,000. Ew, 30% taxes. Yikes. All right. So if you take a look at this, you see four debts here, but I kind of cranked it up because you see this $5,000 credit card here. You know what I did? I put 10 credit cards. Okay. So 23,000 a month, 10 credit cards, an auto loan, a student loan, a mortgage, and then $5,000 of expenses a month, right? $5,000 of expenses. So that's what we're going to do today. Pay off debt. We're using Velocity Banking. I am your rich cash flow doctor, not a medical doctor, sorry. And they have a saying that if you actually tell other people your plans, you're less likely to do it. Have you ever heard that? So I kind of want to tell you my plans, but I feel like if I tell you my plans, I'm not going to do it. But I'm going to tell it to you anyways. Um, my plan probably, I don't know when, is to create a new YouTube channel and then really make money off this like velocity banking thing and then target it towards high income people, right? High income people, professionals, medical professionals, nurses, lawyers, possibly engineers. Um, because I think they're a group that needs to be introduced to velocity banking, and that would be the target demographic that would make the most sense to charge, right? A lot of times, I don't know if you ever heard the difference between like B2B and then B2C. A lot of people will tell you if you want to make easy money, do B2B, meaning business to business, right? Don't do business to consumer because business to consumer, that market is very price sensitive. Okay. And then if you deal with higher incomes, it's pretty much like B2B in a way. Anyways, just enough rambling. So, I'm thinking of creating a new YouTube channel where it's instead of just being a generic name like Korean Atlanta Mentorship, I'll still keep the channel, but I like to ramble on and on in this channel too. But if I really want to sell this velocity banking stuff, I got to create a new channel, maybe like Dr. Cashflow or Cashflow Hospital or something Cashflow, right? Cashflow Doctor. Actually, I was looking up YouTube channels and someone with like two subs has the name Cashflow Doctor, but that's a pretty sweet name. I don't know if I should just steal it or not. But I should probably do it because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there who make good money and have debt and they're kind of I don't know if I would say they're struggling. At least in this case, we make good money and we'll have $7,000 left over, right? $7,000 left over because we have all this debt. Because if we're making 23 grand a month and we only have 7 grand left over, it's kind of like, I kind of want to. It doesn't feel like enough, right? Um, there was one instance where a gentleman made $7,000 and then he had only $1,000 left over, and he felt like that was too little. Okay, so what we're gonna do with velocity banking is pay off our debt, and then once we pay off our debt, we're gonna increase something called our cash flow. So the first step doing this is pretty much at writing every single debt that you have. So you have your income, your expenses, and the expense breakdown. You list all your debts, right? Remember, this is debt payoff strategy. And then what we do in the velocity banking side is we write the same budget, okay? The same budget, but we don't save money, right? So this checking and savings here essentially goes to zero. This is like our first psychological hurdle we have to overcome because a lot of people when they see this because they're like, that's not good. Shouldn't you have something in your checking and savings? And that's why they say velocity banking is more of a philosophy than anything else, right? Because a lot of people think, or we've been trained socially, that your checking or savings account is the final destination of money. But I'm just going to show you right here that it's not. or at least I don't, right? Again, I'm the rich cash flow doctor. Rich in quotes, okay? And the reason why I say rich in quotes is because I paid off a mortgage in 2 years in 9 months. If you take a look here, um, yeah, that's me. Paid off a mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. So anyway, let me go back here. The reason I say I'm rich because I see like people making a gajillion dollars on the internet, and I was like, dang, I haven't made a gajillion dollars on the internet yet. So I gotta keep trying and crack this thing called internet marketing and sales. So if you take a look here, money comes in, and then as soon as it comes in, it just goes right out. Now, where does it go out? It goes into something called a line of credit. But the whole point of this is to show that the checking and savings account is not the final destination of your money. When we do velocity banking, the checking account is essentially the middleman. Money comes in, and then we have something called cash flow. And the cash flow, let's see this in Korean. So cash flow is the amount that our debt gets reduced. And when we're going to throw all our money, we're going to throw it into something called a line of credit. So what's a line of credit? It's basically a financial tool where you could borrow money, pay it back, and then use it over and over again. So all you had to do is just click a button like transfer funds, and then whatever's the limit available in your line of credit just immediately gets transferred, and you could dump all the money you want into a line of credit and take all the money you want up to a certain limit, right? So in this case, we have to figure out, okay, how to pay off debt, and usually we just move debt into the line of credit. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but credit cards are a form of line of credit too. So you can swipe a card, pay it back, and use it over and over again. But what is the main advantage that a home equity or a personal line of credit has is that you can use it to pay anything, everything, whereas with the credit card, you can't use it to pay loans. Very hard to pay loans. You can use it to pay general expenses, but very hard to pay loans. If you take a look here, right? These are the lines of credit that I have. So if you're a doctor, okay, you're a doctor, you could probably easily get all these. So you see, I have over $739,000. This includes personal credit cards, business credit cards, lines of credit, right? And then I'm going to tell you the secret to getting all these lines of credit, right? Banks don't lend money to people who need it. They don't lend money to people who need it. So you want to see how I got all this? I just went to a bank when I didn't need money. Okay, when you need money and you go to a bank, that's like And I'll tell you why. If you go to a bank when you need money, the way that the bank sees it is you're not going to pay them back, right? Have you ever had friends who are like, "Oh my goodness, I need money. I need money. Please lend it to me," and then they didn't pay you back? The banks experienced this many, many times before as an institution, and that's why they don't lend money to people who need it. In fact, I remember I took a business credit class, right? And the statistics were pretty staggering. They said that 90% of business credit applications are fraudulent, meaning they're for businesses that don't even exist. So if you want to know, like the secret of getting business credit is be an actual business that sells goods and services and has an actual address. That's like the secret to business credit. I know, crazy, right? All right, so let's go ahead and do this and get started. So we're going to assume we have access to a $300,000 home equity line of credit. And I think we're still in a decent position where we can get that because I've done many demonstrations where we have $1 left over. And if you have $1 left over, you're not going to get a free and clear line of credit. But if you have $7,000 left over and you got some equity in your home, like this home right here, $400,000 loan, you could probably get, depending on when you bought it, it's possible that your $400,000 home went up 700, 800 to, to that I want to say that much equity. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I'm just getting my words mixed up. But basically, let's say the equity in your property increased, you could probably get a $300,000 home equity line of credit if you bought in the right area. But remember, we always have to get the line of credit when we don't need money, right? Banks love people who don't need money. People who don't need money. That's like the bank's favorite customer. Okay. All right. So now we have this thing called the cash flow index. So let me just kind of show you the formula. So it's the balance of the debt divided by the payment. So 5000 divided by 175. Oh, not 75, my bad. 175. And then we just kind of applied the same formula to all of them. Now I'm going to be a little bit lazy and copy this from my other calculator that I have here. And let's go ahead and do this. Okay. And then let's also get it for these loans. So we have this amortized loan calculator, right? So let me go ahead and copy this cash flow index. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here. So basically, what does this mean? It's the order that we pay off of debt, right? It's an easy formula to figure out the order of paying off debt. And the lower the number, that's the one you don't want to pay off first, right? You want to pay off last. Now, why do you want to pay it off last? Because you don't get as much bang for your buck. So you have a $400,000 loan, and you only get $23.98 from the loan, right? $400,000 loan, $23.98. Or you could get pay off 250,000 and get even more than that, right? So which one gives you more bang for your buck, this or this? Obviously this one. But if you really calculate it, these low numbers give you even more bang for your buck. So we're going to start off with those. So what we do is we are going to sum up the balance of the credit cards. 7, 10, 35, 12, 15. And this is going to be 464,000, right? $164,000 of credit card debt. So what we're gonna do is move this $164,000 of credit card debt, and I know, you know, you're a responsible doctor, right? But let's say worst case scenario, you're not a responsible doctor, with only $5,000 of credit card debt. Let's say you had $164,000. Okay. Well, guess what happens when you move this $164,000 into, let's say, home equity line of credit? Oh my goodness, these payments go to zero, and we magically went from $7,000 a month in our checking and savings to $12,000 of cash flow without doing anything, right? Simply by not saving money and transferring some debt into a line of credit. And then what we do is we put our entire paycheck, this 23 grand, into the line, take 11 grand out, right, for expenses to pay for these four, and then you rinse and repeat over and over again, and then this cash flow number is essentially the amount that your line of credit balance gets reduced. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. And you take the previous month's balance, previous month's interest minus our cash flow, right? And then we're going to take the average daily balance. So I'm going to do this, multiply by the interest rate, and divide by 12. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste. And then we see that in 14 months, right, those credit cards, $168,000 or $164,000 got paid off. Or so a little bit more than a year and 2 months. Not bad, right? I mean, it's pretty good. So now we don't have to fear that credit card debt. And then I'm going to just go ahead and do this. And then it's going to be 14. Okay. And then now we paid off the credit card debt, and so let's check on these three loans, and we see that we're at 14 months. So we just use the cash flow index, and we use this loan calculator to put the current month. So month 14, month 14, month 14. Okay, so we have this is the lowest. So if we pay this off, we get more bang for our buck. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to move 31 grand. So this is a $40,000 loan, so maybe it's a Mercedes that we bought as a doctor, right? So let's go ahead and do this, and I'm going to move the 31538.66. Okay, and then guess what happens here? We get an extra $700 of cash flow because the loan was transferred, not paid off, just transferred. But it does increase our cash flow. And then let's go ahead and see. All right, let's go ahead and see this. Minus 13057.79. Okay, so it didn't make a big difference, but it did pay off the debt. We did pay off the debt in 17 months. So 17 months, and then so that's 164 plus 40 and 204K. All right. So I'm going to just do this. So 250,000 in 17 months, and then 17, 17, 17. This is 0. And then we see here we have about $224,000 in a student loan. So we have two more loans left. So let's, again, this is the lowest cash flow index. So let's do something called chunking. So what does that mean? It's basically if you have a big loan, right, and you want to easily strike it down, we just kind of take a piece of the loan and move it to the line of credit. So I would do this usually when the CFI is relatively high and it's a big balance, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and put it in a velocity banking calculator. And this is how it kind of looked like, right? So what we're going to do is move, what's our income? We'll say 25 grand from the loan into the line of credit. Okay. And then you see that that 25 grand got paid off in about 2 months, and you just kind of rinse and repeat again, right? So every month or so, 2 months, you pay off 25 grand of the loan, and then we actually have a calculator here to figure out how long it would take to pay it off. So what are our expenses now? We want to pay off include everything except for the loan. So it'd be these two. Let's go ahead and do that. And then that would be 7398.2. That's our expenses, 7398.2. And then the payment amount is, what's the payment amount? I don't even know what the payment amount is. Okay, so the payment amount is 2877.1, 293.2. No, it's 2877.1. So 2877.01. And then this is a 10-year loan, and then 6.8% interest. So what we do is, yeah, so this one right here. So original balance is 250,000, and then the current balance is 224016.23, 224016.23. And then we see right here, it takes up 1.3 years to pay it off. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then this is going to be 17 plus 1.3 times 12. Oh, is that right? 17 months plus 1.3 years times 12. Okay, so 33 months, we'll say. So 33 months. Now this is 0, and then this is going to be the 204 plus 250, so 454K. All right, not kilometers. Okay, so now last one's the mortgage, right? So now this is 0, whoopsie, 0, this is 134, right? Month 30, oh, I'm sorry, 33. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do it one more time. So our expenses is now $5,000 because it's everything except for the loan we're trying to pay off. So right here. And then what's the original balance of the loan? It's $400,000 is the mortgage. The current balance is 385,751. 385,751.76. And then the interest rate is 6%, 30 years, and the payment is 2398.2. So 2398.2. And then we see that it gets paid off in 1.9 years. Woohoo! Okay. All right. So now it's 33 divided by 12 plus 1.9. And that's, ooh, did we pay off everything in 4.65 years? Including credit cards? And our mortgage? And our student debt? Man, being a doctor is a pretty sweet gig. You know? Like, you want to know something? Okay, let's say I borrow 250,000 to be, let's say, an anesthesiologist. Now, the worst thing that can happen is that you have to spend a lot of time in order to get that salary. But if I spend that same $250,000 on a on a single family home, you know what the best cash flow I'm probably gonna get is like $200 a month. So it depends on you. I mean, I think I would be a little bit scared to be a doctor, but you got to get the active income first before you get the passive income, like the rental or real estate. Okay, all right. So 4.65 years, and then how much was it? So that's 854K. So 854K. All right. So yeah, that's it. So listen to your non-medical, I don't give any medical advice, listen to your non-medical cash flow doctor and pay off debt with me, right? So what do you think? Do you think it's a good idea to create a YouTube channel that specifically targets doctors and nurses? I've been talking about this for a long time, but maybe I need to get my keister off my get off my keister and actually do it and start marketing, target marketing. Are you a busy doctor? And I'll tell you what, I've done a lot of consulting over the years as a professional for most of my adult life, and I've worked with mostly like Fortune 500 type of companies. And doing B2B is way easier because they have a lot more money, right? It's really weird how that works. Like B2C is so price sensitive, and if you don't know what B2B or B2C means, it's business to business versus business to consumer. Business to consumer is really hard because you're dealing with a price sensitive entity that's going to pay you, whereas B2B, it's really not price sensitive. In fact, if you ever go to a website that serves businesses, you'll notice that their prices are never listed on the website because it's based on how rich you are. Like, I'm not kidding about this, okay? Okay, well, let me go ahead and, um, anyways, what am I even talking about? Well, we already paid off the debt, and that was pretty quick. I don't even know what to talk about anymore. I don't know, because it was just so quick, 4.65 years to pay off everything. And now what do we do? Okay, 18 grand a month. I don't even know how to spend that all. Buy like 20 iPads, right? Why do I even need more than one? All right, that's it for today, folks. Greenland to Mentorship. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video.